I could have saved that money and had it with me. Is a lie. The money would have finished by now, but I would have had some money. I wouldn't have been a broke graduate student. Hi everyone, welcome to this episode. My name is Eniola, but you can call me the Global MC. I'm a Nigerian international journalist. I moved to the United States from Nigeria back in 2021, just a little bit after the pandemic. Still in the middle of it, but very much more away from March 2020. And yeah, it's been fantastic. And I want to bring you into what the journey has been like for me so far, moving from Nigeria and then to all the other cities in the US that I have lived in so far. And yeah, let's do this together. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, let's go. So in 2020, I got admitted into the University of Texas at Austin for a master's in journalism. And this was going to help me switch my careers from being a lawyer to becoming a journalist. And I know some people don't go to school to become a journalist, but I felt that I had been graced and given talents that were, useful in journalism. But I felt like before I wanted to get into the industry proper, I needed to take some time to really go into the basics and hone the skills that I had. So I didn't want to just go on raw talent only. I wanted to go into the industry with really tested, really fine-tuned, really honed skills. And that was what my master's at the University of Texas at Austin provided me with. And I'm so grateful I got the opportunity to go there. So let's talk about my move from Nigeria and the international student experience, because obviously I'm not American. So for me, it was a bit chill. I wasn't stressed about it. I know a lot of people stress about the visa interview at the embassy, but that's something that doesn't need to stress you out, especially if you're coming to the United States for a legitimate cause like studying, and that what you want to study is going to eventually be beneficial to your home country, whether that's Africa or wherever you're from. The visa interview is pretty easy, I think, especially, like I said, if you know what you're coming to do and if you have the right answers, if you know who's going to be sponsoring your education, if you have scholarships, if you have, financial aid. Those are all the things that you need to get, to make sure that once you get in front of that, visa person, the interviewer, you're able to ace that interview without fear or without cheaters. You're able to be confident. That's one thing that I feel like is missing and really messes up the process for a lot of applicants. Confidence is not overrated. You need to be confident when you appear before the person who's doing the interview for your visa application. And so I moved from Lagos, Nigeria, so good, to Austin, Texas, and it was a switch. But for me, and I know that this is not the experience that most international students have, but for me, it was a pretty smooth transition. I had been to the US before, so there wasn't so much of a culture shock, if you'd call it that. People always kept asking me, oh, have you settled down? Have you settled in? 1 week in, 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, 2 months in, they're still asking me, have you settled? I'm like, bruh, how many boxes do I have? How much settling do you want me to be doing? There's only so much settling I can be settling. So I settled in the first, second, third day. And luckily for me, and I know this is also not the case with some other people, I had a friend, so good. Before I applied to UT Austin, I had no idea that one of my friends from the University of Lagos in Nigeria was also at the same school that I was applying to. What are the odds? Anyway, I applied and then I found out that my friend was in the same school that I was coming to. And so I reached out to him and he was able to help me with, figuring out housing and where I should be looking, what's the scam and what's not a scam. So that was very helpful. If you don't know anybody, there's organizations for international students that really just help connect you with resources that you would need. And one of the ones that I really connected with during my time as a student was Bridges International. They have a website, they have a global presence. And so if that's something that you need, you should reach out to them. They help with like airport pickups when you arrive. They also help with like grocery runs to the supermarket. If you need to learn how to drive, they can also help with that. They help with so many things. It's a faith-based organization, but they don't serve only Christian students. They serve international students. That's the baseline. Are you international? Then they are so willing and able to help you in whatever city you're going to. They're not only in Austin, Texas, they're all over the United States. So check them out, Bridges International. I think it's bridgesinternational.org. But Google is your friend, so do that. And so after about 1 year in Austin, then it was the summer, my first summer in the United States as a graduate student. And I was like, okay, so what am I going to be doing? Because most of my colleagues who were, American students and knew how the system worked had already applied to like internships while school was in session. But me, I was really enjoying my life, just chilling and flexing and, being a baby girl. And so summer came around and I had nothing to do. So I don't remember what I did that summer, but it was a lot of like just being at home, not doing anything, hanging out with friends, going to church, and just being. And it was a great summer. But by year 2, I had wisened up, and by the time it was time for applications to go out, I was ready to send out those applications and everything. I basically hit the ground running, because in my second year, I was able to get like a graduate assistant position. And one of the things that I wanted to do, because I didn't want to pay tuition for a whole second year, but my program, the master's that I got, you could do it in 2 ways. There was a fast track and then there was the regular track. And so if you wanted to do the fast track and finish in a year, it's possible, but it's very strenuous. And then there's the regular track, which takes 2 years to complete. And so because I didn't want to pay for housing as a student and then pay tuition for 2 years, and when I could have just paid for 1, I basically ended up doing all my coursework in my first year. And so when I got my graduate teaching assistant position, I basically took extra classes for that second year mostly. And that was it was good and bad. It was good in the sense that I got to take more classes than I would have taken if I had taken just like the regular coursework spread over the 4 semesters. But it was bad because I could have saved money. Instead of spending all my course credits and pay for course credits in my first year, I could have saved that money and had it with me. It's a lie. The money would have finished by now, but I would have had some money. I wouldn't have been a broke graduate student. But anyway, that's a lesson. Something that also came to bear after I got here was that you can apply to some of these positions even before you arrive. And I know that if it's a PhD or if it's like a master's degree, there's usually like teaching assistant positions that are reserved. So just speak with your professors about that before coming down and try to figure out what the plan is with regards to actually working in the US. I know that for international students in particular, we're allowed to work 20 hours with the school during the school session, and then we can also work 40 hours during the summer. So those opportunities with your schools are something that you should not, don't overlook. They're very important and they're very helpful. Also, I don't know about other schools, but at UT Austin, I got my tuition paid for, I got insurance, and I also got a stipend, so I was able to pay my rent on time. Nobody kicked me out. What a blessing. Anyway, I survived, and that's the moral of the story. So fast forward to after the graduate teaching assistant position and getting wiser and better. Another thing, if I had completed my program in 1 year, which I did, and if I had graduated after that first year, I feel like I would not have been well equipped to actually navigate the American job market, because something that employers really look at, something employers really love here is work experience and past experience. And so those internships really count. Something else that I'd advise is, as you're in class, even though I was the only international student in my class, because I was the only one. So even though you may be the only international students in your class, or if there are others, there's things that the other students that are, either American or from other places around the world would say that you should look into and, begin to research. So one of the things that happened while I was in class one day was one of my friends in my program was talking about how she had applied to something called the Bloomberg Journalism Diversity Program, and she applied on a whim, and she was like, the driving force for her application was like, you miss all of the shots that you don't take. And so she applied, and very shockingly, she got in. And so I was like, I was taking notes, like, you got in? Nice. It's called the Bloomberg Diversity Journalism Program, Business Journalism Program. And so after that, the next time that the program came around, I applied. And guess what? I also got in. So there's like nuggets of information that will always be flying around and passing around. You just need to be listening for things that are going to be beneficial to your future. So don't take going to classes for granted. There's like information you're there to hear and learn about. And then something else for me was, actually getting the internships. And so one of the ways that I was able to secure my first internship was just asking questions. So one of the leaders in the local TV station where I interned, my first internship at KXA in Austin. So she came to give a talking class, and I was like so interested in what she was doing, and I asked a lot of questions. Was I doing that so I could get an internship? No, I was genuinely curious, and really curiosity is part of the fabric of journalism. Anyway, I was genuinely curious about the work that she was doing and about the station. And so when it came time to apply for the internship, and then she saw my application, she was like, okay, there were other people who could have gotten that internship, but she was like, I know this girl, I remember her, she asked good questions, she asked the right questions also. And so that's how I got my first internship in Austin. And then my second internship with Bloomberg came about because I had applied to this business journalism diversity program that they offered and gotten in. And so I had a working relationship with a recruiter from the internship program. And so when after that program, I was in, actually, let me just backtrack a little and talk about a little failure. Anyway, I failed. The first time I applied to the Bloomberg internship, I didn't get in. And I feel like that was also an eye-opener, because at that time I didn't have any other internship on my resume. And so that's one of the reasons why I really worked hard towards securing that local internship first, because that's an easy way to get that experience that I mentioned earlier on your CV. And then the second time I applied, I had my KXA internship on my CV. I also had the Bloomberg Business Journalism Diversity Program on my CV. I also had taken a course that Bloomberg offers called the Market Concepts course. And if you go to a public university, odds are that your school has access to that course and you can take it. So that's a proactive way to differentiate yourself and show that, okay, this opportunity, I really want it and I've been preparing for it. So I moved to New York, and New York was fantastic. I know some people don't like it. I know some people say it's like Lagos and it's too dirty, but Oh Lord, it was fantastic. I did not expect to love New York the way that I did, and who knows where I'll end up in the future, but it might be New York. It just might be New York. Anyway, so after that, I was hoping to get retained, but I didn't. So I had to go back to Austin and begin my job application and my job search. And over 400 applications later, I landed a job. And I want to talk about the importance of a plan when you're job searching. Don't just send out applications everywhere and anywhere. Just because they have a job opening does not mean that you should apply to the job. I feel like desperation makes us do some things that do not even serve us in the long run. And so that plan for your job search is very important. I'm going to share what my plan looked like. And so for me, I figured out, okay, I have no job. It's time to get into the job market and begin looking for a full-time job. So I did a few things. I put myself on a schedule. It's easy to be out of a job and jobless. So I was out of a job, but I was not jobless. I was very busy. I put myself on a schedule and I made sure that I applied to at least 10 jobs a day. So 10 jobs a day. That was my bare minimum. Sometimes I did not meet it, but a lot of the days I did. And this was Monday to Friday, 10 jobs every day. Somebody told me to apply to 20, but I was like, no, bruv, I need enjoyment in my life. I cannot only be doing this job search all day long. I'll burn out. I'll be sad. I'll be annoyed and irritated and frustrated. So I knew 10 was a good number for me. So you decide what the number is going to be for you and stick to that. And make sure that, you do it like you're doing a job, like it's your work. And then after that, make sure you play, because play is important. I know that we're looking for a job, but you need rest and you need relaxation and you need rejuvenation. So all of those things are some of the things that I took into account. And also reading through the job description, reading through the company profile, looking on the company's websites. Is this the kind of place that I actually want to work at? Are these the kind of people that I want to work with or for? Those are some of the questions that we don't really ask. And as an international student, there's also the added question of, will this person or will this company sponsor a work visa for me? And about on the work visa, my company actually, when I applied, they had never sponsored an H-1B work visa ever. I was literally the first international students that they were hiring. So it was a very new experience for them, going through the work visa application and just entering me and agreeing to, really just put in that visa application for me. And I know that it was a gamble, because this was not something that I had spoken about during my, offer negotiation. So yeah, it was interesting to see how everything worked out. So yeah, that's it. All right, so after 400 applications, I finally got a job, or over 400 applications, I finally got a job. And it's kind of like a relationship. When it's just the right fit. Like from the first conversation, it was like, yes, this feels good. I'm feeling this. And they were feeling, they're feeling you too. And it's a mutual feeling, So if that mutual feeling is not there, be careful, because, you can push yourself inside something that you don't really want to do. So anyway, let's talk about the actual move and, booking flights and shipping my car. Have you ever seen those, really big trucks that ship cars, or have 8 to 10 cars on one truck? Well, my car was on one of those, and it was very exciting for me. I had so much stuff that I had to give away, and then I had 8 or 7 boxes that I had to bring with me from Austin to South Bend, Indiana. But boy, such exciting stuff. And I feel like it's one of those things where you don't even know what you want until you're there and until you're in the theme that you're in. So for example, South Bend, Indiana would never have been my first choice. But now that I'm here, it's like Oh my God, this is so crazy, because one of the things that's very big in this city where I'm at is entrepreneurship. And if you know anything about me, you know that entrepreneurship is what I breathe and live and love. And that's so exciting for me to get to cover the innovation and the creativity and the tech developments that's ongoing in this region, the South Bend Elkhart region. And they call this the R&B capital of the world. For someone coming from the live music capital of the world, it's like, okay, I have a thing for capitals apparently. So anyway, so exciting. There's the R&B industry, there's entrepreneurship going on here, there's the University of Notre Dame. I'm like, how on earth? So good, so cool, so cool. And then there's sports here. There is like just a really vibrant young community that's very excited and very eager and very on the cutting edge of what the future is gonna look like. And I get to report on all of that. Can you imagine? So good. I'm so excited to be here. I feel like I've talked a lot, so I'm gonna cut this short here because I don't want this to be too long. This is already pushing on a long time, and I'm like, oh Lord, Eniela, why are you talking so much? Let's cut it short. But anyway, I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it has not been, send me a message and let's talk it out, okay? Send this video to your friends, send it to your haters and your lovers. I need this channel to be on the up and up, so hit that subscribe button. I'm not Londoner. I'm not a Londoner. I'm a Nigerian. It's the subscribe button, please. And also leave a comment, all the great YouTube things. And pray for me that I edit this video in time and post it in time. So thank you for sticking with me and giving me this minutes of your time. I hope they've been very insightful and helpful to you. And even if they're not right now in this moment what you're looking for, stick with me because it's about to get really good on this channel.